Hello, everyone, and welcome to an episode of Coffee with Carl. I am your host, Carl Zellner, one of the attorneys here with Anderson Business Advisors. Today, I want to talk a little bit about salary and when it's appropriate to pay yourself salary, or some of the reasons you would consider it within your business. So, first and foremost, we appreciate if you hit the subscribe and like button, whether that's on the Anderson channel, my channel. It just lets us know that you appreciate the free content. So, if you have a second, hit subscribe and like. Next, or as we start looking at that salary and when it's appropriate, normally when we look at salary, it's after we've exhausted the reimbursements that are available to us through our corporations. So I guess the first rule is normally if we're paying salary, we're paying it through some sort of active business. So whether that's a C or an S corporation, or you could also look at an LLC taxed as either of those corporate entities to pay that salary. So really, like I said, we look at salary once we've exhausted our reimbursements. Another factor that can play into if we're going to look at paying ourselves a salary is, are you looking to be lendable? Do you need to show income or more income in order to qualify for a loan for, say, a purchase of a property, line of credit, what have you? If you need to look more lendable, usually paying yourself more income makes you look more lendable. Now, there's a couple of things that when we come into lendability, we can look at the type of entity that's paying you a salary as well. Usually, if we're looking for ease of use with a lender, a lot of times we're looking at the C corporation paying you a salary as being a better option than an S corporation paying you a salary, because when a C corporation pays you a salary, it just looks like you're receiving income. With an S corporation, you also get the K1, which will put the underwriter or lender on notice that you own the business, and the lender is going to want to dig into your business as well. And for most real estate investors, that corporation in most cases, isn't really set to look like it's making a ton of income. It's usually there as a tax planning tool or tax vehicle. So when the lender digs into that business, a lot of times it may actually cause more stumbling blocks on that loan. So we say, like I said, the C Corp just sort of looks like an additional paycheck. You don't get that ownership link there. So it's another reason to look there. So as far as salary goes, number one, like I said, would be, did you use up your reimbursements? Number two, is there some reason to pay yourself a salary that we're not, if say you have reimbursements on the books, but you're ready to pay yourself a salary, is there an alternative reason why you would want to pay yourself a salary? Most times that, like I say, falls into lendability. And finally, is it appropriate if it's simply you're just using up your reimbursements? We can look at things, especially if we're looking at the C Corp, to pay yourself out of your corporation, like even using a dividend. There's ability to use dividends because it comes out at long-term capital gains rates versus short-term capital gains rates too. So like I said, it's sort of getting a global picture and dialing in the scenario to say when it's important. One thing to note that a lot of people miss as well is within that, if you have an S corporation, there is the requirement to pay a reasonable salary depending on what you're doing. So just be aware, for those of you out there who may be high W-2 income earners and you thought the S corporation was the best route to go, realize there's a point if your S corporation is making money that you're not able to sort of turn off that water spigot there if you're trying to reduce the amount of salary or total income that's hitting your individual return. C corporation is usually better for that because there is no reasonable salary requirement. So until next time, that was our little primer on when it's appropriate to pay a salary. As always, appreciate y'all joining me for Coffee with Carl. Once again, if you do enjoy Coffee with Carl, or you enjoy the free content we put out, please, once again, hit that subscribe and like button, and we will catch you on the next episode. Thanks, everyone.